How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And today I'm going to be talking about Invincible Season 3. Yesterday, the first 3 episodes of the season dropped, and I watched them all. I can't really help myself to binge watching whenever a show that I really like comes to play. So, I watched Invincible Season 3. General thoughts about it. I'm not going to get into any spoilers, so don't worry, you don't have to click out of the video. But it's a genuinely good start to the next season. They're trying to build up a lot of different characters now. Obviously, if you saw the last season, there's going to be spoilers for that one, but I'm not going to be spoiling this third one. So, a lot of it is going to follow Oliver and Mark in their journey, and now Mark being the older brother and Oliver looking up to Mark. That's one of the main trajectories of it. If you've seen the trailer, you've also seen that this season has a lot to do with Cecil. Obviously, he was a very important character in season 1, season 2. He's the director of basically what would be the Pentagon over there in that universe. And so Cecil, in the first few episodes, we get a huge philosophical battle between Cecil and Mark. And I just can't help but think who is right in that situation. Obviously, I don't want to get into specifics and I don't want to get into the nitty gritty of what happens, but there is a specific philosophical battle that goes on between these two characters that honestly, I can see both sides of the equation. Definitely watch the episode, come back to the comments and either roast me or agree with me if you feel like it. But I can see both sides of the equation. I feel like on one side, Cecil is doing the right thing for the people and trying to, in the goals that he's trying to do. He says it in the show. Our only goal is to protect the planet. We don't have to be the good guys while we do it, but we have to protect the planet. And so to that, I can agree with, especially with his job and especially with what we get a bit of his backstory, and through his backstory we see a bit of his motivation. He used to not believe the way that he does, but now he does. That kind of character arc I really liked throughout this new season, because before we had Cecil, he was already a pretty well-rounded character. He was one that we didn't trust as much, but we knew was doing things for the greater good. He was very strict, and he was a Batman-esque type of person where he's not going to trust you 100%. And they even show that in this new season. I just think that they do a great job at fleshing out Cecil a bit more. Usually when people flesh out characters a bit more, they're going to die. Spoiler alert, that hasn't happened in this season. It's only episode 3. I don't know what you're expecting from the first 3 episodes. We get buried little Omni-Man, and that annoyed me a bit. Omni-Man and Alan the Alien are stuck in prison. They show that, but they don't really flesh it out as much. They only show 2 or 3 scenes with them actually there in the prison communicating, and just things that go on in the prison. Then Mark's character is definitely going through a big change after killing Angstrom Levy. He doesn't want to repeat those same mistakes that led to that, and he's trying to take everything with a grain of salt, not trying to burden everything with the weight of his power, but he also has to prepare because the Viltrumites are going to be coming to Earth, and if he's not there to stop them, then who will? I think that the season does a great job of getting Mark's character arc. He still makes mistakes, and he's still he's not perfect, but he's trying his best to correct the mistakes that led to the Angstrom Levy thing, that led to him being weaker than the other Viltrumites. He's correcting a lot of those mistakes, and we can see it in a suit change. He's more mature, he's darker, he's not as much of a kid as he used to be. Yeah, I thought that was a very interesting thing. Obviously, whenever characters change suits, it kind of symbolizes this change between them, and you could definitely tell that it does that for Invincible. The next component of the show that I want to talk about is definitely Adam Eve. Adam Eve is one of my favorite characters. I personally just rooted for her to be with Invincible since the beginning of since the beginning of the show. I didn't really know Invincible before the show, and I was always a big fan of Adam Eve and Invincible together. She goes through her character changes. Obviously, last season we saw her, an older version of her, telling Mark to tell her that he either loves her or that he doesn't, so that she doesn't have to be waiting for him. So that puts a lot of pressure on Mark, but that also kind of puts a bit of pressure subconsciously on Eve. Not because she'd know anything about that, but because whatever Mark does now could be influenced by that, and that does become a plot point later on in the show, which I thought was a very interesting resolution to it. Other things, other thoughts, it's just a really great show. So if you haven't already watched Invincible Season 2, definitely go watch that. If you haven't watched Invincible Season 1, I don't know what you're doing in this video. Definitely go watch it. It's a great show. It's fun. It's gory. That I will say, but I mean, it's relatively. I'm saying animated stuff usually isn't as gory. This one is, and they say fuck, and they say shit, and they do a lot of shit. But I think that the show is still great. If you haven't already, go watch it. It is very highly reviewed by critics. It's like a 99 on Rotten Tomatoes, really high up in IMDb. So don't even take my word for it. Take a lot of other people's word for it. And this third season is starting off exactly how we'd like. And we get no mid-season break. That is probably the best news that I've heard all fucking day. Or all fucking year, basically. Just because I hated the mid-season break that we did last season of Invincible. It really killed a bit of my hype, especially because I wanted to see what was going to happen with Omni-Man and Invincible and all these different things. So definitely go watch the show. I think it's great. I've always thought that it is great, and this season is just building up a lot more to come. So definitely go watch it. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.